Hello, Serge here for the Backyard Driving Range. All right, today I want to talk about the correct amount of turn in the backswing. And as you know, listening to all these dailies, that I do get most of my thoughts about what I want to talk about from letters that come in the to customer service. So keep sending those in. They're great, because again, if you got some thoughts, some questions or whatever, best way to get a good answer is send it in, and you get the answer right from me. You've also probably heard me say that most golfers, most of you that have been to private lessons or golf schools, I can pretty much say that when I do my analysis of you, I can pretty much pinpoint what I'm going to call your Achilles heel. That basically from that time on, once I identify it to whatever else, there's a good chance if you're going to have problems in your swing, this or that, one, two, or three things could be a major cause. In many cases, it's because it's something that when you took up the game way back when or whatever, that it was pounded into your brain, like hold the hand, don't hold the hand, right hand too much, or hit down on the ball, or certain things like that. Or take a big turn that you always took, take the biggest turn you can. So I still see a lot of guys, even seniors, overturning, and they don't think they're overturning it. And I mean, they're going to 90 degrees or plus with no problem. All right. So we all have Achilles heels, including me. So I want to talk about one of mine today. All right. And one of my Achilles heels is just the opposite of what I just stated about so many Sergites, even seniors, turn too much. I have just the opposite one. I work so long on making sure that I kept the wide knees out with pressure and stuff that I get into a point where I end up having almost no turn. It's almost all 100% arms. But I can still hit the ball pretty good. But what's going to start happening when I do that? I'm going to start mishitting it a little bit. I'm going to get more thins, a little bit more thins, very likely thins in the heel. Might eventually every now and then move over, come over the top a little bit and hit it towards the toe and maybe a little chunk deep, all right? Or don't turn enough, and so instead of bumping, I've actually had a little bit of EBRT in the backswing reverse tilt, so I'm ahead of it. So now I can start getting in with the face not square yet, and the balls are starting a little bit right. Or then the next thing you know, I'm trying to catch it up and throw the club out a little bit quick. So even I have all the problems as everybody else, and sometimes when things happen like that. But the key is that I still keep my margins so tight that my problems stay in play. Because remember, one of the big things about golf is with the peak performance golf swing, where we got much less motion, that reduces margin of error. You reduce error, you increase success. You increase error, you decrease success, because it's going to give more potential for more things to go wrong. So we always want that. We always want those leveling out where we're going to have the least amount of error, which gives us more consistency, therefore more success. So my problem is I tend to not, as I said, I almost get into lockdown on my hip. My hip doesn't turn at all, so I don't get a pure load. I don't get myself basically behind the ball for a good bump where I get the proper curvature in my body with the head staying back to stay behind it, so my arms will really straighten out at impact and get on up to the finish. So I have to really concentrate on this, especially when I know I'm not into it. And right now it's more prevalent because why? It's winter time, and I'm playing golf, and got sweaters on, jackets on, and everything else, and a little chilly, and I'm not turning enough. And again, it's pounded into my head that the Serge will never make a 90-degree turn. But I got to at least get to at least 70, 75 degrees, and sometimes I don't get any, so I'm just lifting the club up, and if I'm not turning at all, then the club is going, if I'm using the outside of the mat here, I'm going to slightly outside, straight down, and I get nice straight pulls. So I'll be hitting things, drives 20 yards left of where I want it. They'll still be in the fairway, but they're 20 yards left, maybe a little thin, and irons will be, instead of hitting the ball at the flag, they're 20, 30 feet to the left. All right? So with irons, it's in feet when I'm hitting the greens, but can be yards with longer clubs and especially drivers and fairway woods. So I have to really make sure that, number one, I get preloaded heavy right. I'm on that leg. I can feel it in that when I start this whole turn, I got the sitter sink into my right side. When I do all of that, I'm in the right position up here, and I can explode into the ball and through, and I get that gives me a better lift in the backswing, and conversely a better lift on the other side. So I'm always having to really work hard to make sure that I preload heavy right, and And again, when I'm too neutral, the club goes back that way. See, there's no rotation. When I get here, it gets my hands a little bit more forward. As compared to here, they're a little too straight to the ball. This thumb, this V is at the ball instead of the right hand V being at it. So I'm in here and it goes outside, out to slightly in, and I hit dead straight pulls. Here, when I get in the right position, preload heavy right, the hands are forward, the rotation is there, and bingo, more club head speed. And that's great because instead of hitting 7 irons 10 yards shorter, now they're going the right distance again, or any club. And I definitely get a much better launch angle on my driver. Instead of hitting bullets behind the ball, the club face is coming in, I'm swinging up better. What do I got? I get a better launch angle, so I get better carry in the air. Now, naturally, I don't want that if I'm hitting into a big, steep wind, but no wind or downwind, I want that ball going up in the air so it gets a free ride in the air. Okay? So, watch that. If you're really working on a limited turn PPGS, you still have to turn. We still have to make that turn and get over the toe line, and from there it's all lift. Now we do know that in that lift, the elbows to the hands and the club will be inside the toe line. The only part that'll be over the toe line at this point from here and up will be the elbow to the shoulder. If you get your elbow and shoulder, and in many cases if you get up there and you could look down and see your toes, you know you're deep. So there. Once the whole hand and arm and club reach the toe line, it goes up, but because we're going on an inclined plane, only the elbow to the shoulders over the toe line. All right? So make sure that if you're starting a lot of thin shots and pulls and you feel like you're and not hitting the ball solid enough, check that maybe you might be like me and not turning enough, if at all, in your backswing. Because we still got to have a little bit of turn. As I always said, the definition of peak performance golf swing is a little bit of turn and a lot of lift. Okay? And that is the definition of PPGS. So that's another thing you can always pay attention to if you're check it out and see if that could be one of your problems. Because it's always one of mine. I always got to stay on top of it. All right? Well, that's the surge issues for today for the surge. Hopefully it'll help you make better swings, hit better shots, and shoot those lower scores. That's it for today, and I'll be speaking with you all again soon.